Good day, everyone. My name is Dr. Joseph Habulezi from University of Vaisaho in Botswana. I'm with Dr. G. Okedise from the University of Botswana and Mr. Donald Petro Mwire from the Department of Educational Technology in the Ministry of Child Welfare and Basic Education. We are presenting on a research that we conducted titled Digitalization of Teaching and Learning for Learners with Visual Impairment in Botswana. Introduction. Botswana recognizes the immense benefits of embracing technology and innovation in education. As per Vision 2036 commitments, the government of Botswana leveraged on digitalization of teaching and learning for all learners to enhance access to learning, communication, and participation. Among learners who benefited are learners with visual impairment. But despite the exercise, learners still use paper braille and their academic results are concerning. Emanating from that, we decided to conduct a study whose purpose is to explore the implementation, effectiveness, and challenges of digitalization in teaching and learning for learners with visual impairment in Botswana. Our research questions are: how is digitalization implemented in the teaching and learning of learners with visual impairment in Botswana? In what ways has digitalization improved access to learning materials and participation in classroom activities for learners with visual impairment? What challenges do educators and schools face in implementing digital technologies for learners with visual impairment? In this study, we adopted the Universal Design for Learning framework model of technology because of its focus on inclusive digital teaching practices and accessibility through its key principles of multiple presentation, meaning that there could be braille, there could be audio, graphic, or digital magnifiers. The other key principles of this design are multiple engagements and multiple expressions. In the literature review, digital inclusion entails learners with visual impairment have access and can benefit from the similar digital learning environment as their peers. ICT integration in the education of learners with visual impairment involves the use of a wide array of assistive technologies. That is according to Barnes and Becker 2024. There's also an aspect of best global and regional teaching practices which lead to improved access to curriculum, empowerment, independence, and inclusion of learners with visual impairment. There's also an aspect that is very important, which is conducive learning environment, meaning there should be accessible infrastructure in the name of availability of assistive technology and effective internet. There's also inclusive digital content that should be available on the platforms. There should be trained teachers and also supportive policies to support the digitalization exercise. Literature also outlines some challenges that may be related to technology issues, pedagogical issues, or systemic barriers, as well as funding. At the end of it all, we concluded that there was some kind of shortage or paucity of information or empirical data on digitalization of learning and teaching for learners with visual impairment in Botswana. The research adopted a qualitative research approach to gain in-depth understanding of participants' experiences, perspectives, and the contextual meaning they assigned to digitalization. A multiple case study design to understand in-depth and diverse experiences of participants at various sites was adopted according to Creswell and Porth 2018. The population of the study composed of members of the Department of Educational Technology, specialist teachers from the 4 schools that were chosen to be research sites, 8 of them, and then 8 learners with visual impairment, 2 from each study site, and 4 girls and 4 boys. The age range of participants was 12 years to 53. In terms of experience for those who are working, they range from 2 to 25 years. On data collection, ethical issues were addressed. Permission was sought from Catering Region, the Department of Special Support Services, Department of ICT and Media Services. Then we also conducted some discussions with all the participants so that we agreed and signed the consent, and the assent was sought from parents of minors. One-on-one interviews were conducted with the participants, and then we also had classroom observations to check on learner participation, the type and usage of the devices. We also had document analysis, in which case we analyzed the purchase documents, delivery saving grams, as well as reports. On data analysis, data from interviews were thematically analyzed, while content analysis was applied on document analysis. Data from observations and document analysis were corroborated with that from interviews. The data analysis continued, and we started with familiarization until the last step according to Creswell and Poth 2018, as well as Tenzin and Recon 2018. The findings and discussions, we combined the two. We found that there was a presence of multiple adaptive technology from low-tech to high-tech. Of note was the Brown Note Touch Plus, which has all the applications that one would need to succeed in an exercise like digitalization of teaching and learning. There was also the Supernova, which was used by learners with low vision. This aspect aligns with Chuan and Berry 2018, who assert that there should be advanced technology that should be used in the digitalization exercise. There was also an aspect of trained special and inclusive education teachers who were found in the schools, except most of them were concerned with the teaching of their subjects in the mainstream, though in an inclusive setting. We also discovered that we learned from participants that 5 training sessions were held, a national training, then technical training for those who were in the technical committee, and the trainings were held at each one of the schools to workshop further the teachers and the learners. There was one notable aspect that was noted, that to train the learners with visual impairment, they use a peer-mediated model where they appointed members of staff with visual impairment to go and teach learners with visual impairment. And from the participants, it was reported that this was a very successful move. The ministry also set up digital tools and a platform. The platform is known as Tutonet. This was a massive platform that was supposed to link all learners and load their media that they're supposed to use in their education. But unfortunately, this was not the case. We also found out that there was availability of digital learning materials, which were in learners' gadgets. These included audiobooks, digital textbooks, which were encrypted in Braille-ready formats. And this really helped the students, and it aligns with what authors assert in their best practices. There was also improved and efficient learner participation and empowerment in the classroom because of the gadgets. There was accelerated teacher-learner feedback at a school in the north, but for the other schools, 3 schools, it wasn't the case. The school in the north has a member of staff from an NGO who stays near the school, and that's the person who supports learners, and that is why the school in the north is doing much, much better. Improved academic performance for learners with a visual impairment in schools. This was observed in the 2 schools, the 2 primary schools, and not so for secondary schools because of factors related to delay in the issuance of the gadgets and delay in repairing of the gadgets and support that is needed. There was also a trail of paper braille at secondary schools and the braille code switching, something that is supposed to be a thing of the past with the gadgets that are at hand, but these gadgets are still not being utilized fully. Maybe this also shows that the technical officers, if placed at these schools, they would make a difference, just like the officer who is performing very well and assisting learners in the primary school in the north. There were challenges that were observed: malfunctioning of the Braille Note Touch Plus, freezing, and the like. This was attributed to the fact that the softwares were not regularly updated because there was poor internet. There was also damage to traditional keyboards and the late attention to service the gadgets. Despite the availability of the facility for warrant that the suppliers can easily maintain them, although they have to do it from outside country, there is a delay in that regard. I did mention the weak connectivity of the internet in schools. Even if they are connected, the internet is not so good and that the gadgets are not performing very well to that effect. There are challenges with the code switching of Braille. Despite the fact that Unified English Braille was introduced in schools in 2013, some of the learners still use standard British Braille. I think this is due to lack of monitoring by educational officers. Participants did indicate that some of the education officers that are assigned to monitor special and inclusive education are not trained in the area. There was also skills deficiency among some key staff like the IT and the learning support staff. That the IT personnel, they have no relationship with the special education, but they are tasked to take care of special education gadgets. Take, for example, where I need Braille input and the person does not know Braille, so that proves to be a challenge. There's also red tapeism and inertia from top management that was reported. This also is a reason because the top managers in this project are not special education specialists, and this affects their understanding of the flexibility and complexities that go with that. Recommendations: deployment of skilled officers in schools. Just like in the north, this would make a very good maybe addition of value to learners. We also need efficient use of the warrant facility that is available to repair the machines well in time. Training of passionate staff in specialized software and technology. Despite having IT officers, because they don't have the passion, probably, according to what the participant shared, their contribution towards the facilitation of the repair and whatever needs to be done is negligible. There's a need for more awareness to management on inclusive practices. This would go a long way in facilitating smooth implementation of digitalization of teaching and learning for learners with visual impairment. There was also an aspect that since the program started, the monitoring aspect has been non-existent. If this could be intensified, I think it would be of great help. In the conclusion, the study underscores that digitalization holds transformative potential in closing the educational gap for learners with visual impairment in Botswana. Findings reveal a disconnect between inclusive education policies and the actual classroom practices in the digitalization process for learners with visual impairment. This was so for the senior secondary schools. While Botswana has made commendable strides in articulating inclusive education policy frameworks, implementation remains slow and fragmented as it was seen. Thank you very much for your attention and good day. There are the references for references. Thank you.